Welcome back to Ben's Top 10. And when I was a kid, new shows weren't afraid of adults who watch cartoons. What can you say about The Simpsons? It's one of the greatest TV shows ever made. It combines everything we love from real life and the entertainment industry and bunches it all in one show. It's also one of the funniest shows ever made and has more quotable quotes than any other show I can think of. However, there comes the impossible question of which episodes are the best. There are several to choose from, and they are all up there with being equally as good as each other. So, I'm going to attempt to give my favorite episodes. I have a variety when it came to picking episodes from 22 seasons, so you can consider this an incomplete list. So, grab your Buzz Cola and your bowl of Krusty Flakes. Here are my top 10 Simpsons episodes. Number 10, 30 Minutes Over Tokyo from Season 10. Decide to go on to a trip to Tokyo, and in typical Simpsons fashion, anything that can be made fun of gets made fun of, and everything that can go wrong goes wrong. This episode because I'm fascinated by the Japanese culture, and this episode gives me a good look at it. I also love that it makes fun of several stereotypes of the Japanese culture, such as the animes that give people seizures. This is a great example of a travel episode of this show. Number 9, The Heartbroken Kid from Season 16. Put into Springfield Elementary, so Bart soon gets addicted to them and he gains weight, which eventually leads him to having a heart attack. So, the family attempts to cure Bart's weight problem. This is a favorite of mine because I used to be overweight and I feel sorry for what Bart goes through. Also, there are several hilarious highlights from this, such as Bart giving Willie his skateboard, a modified version of The Simpsons opening with Bart's weight problem causing several comedic happenings. Another highlight is Albert Brooks guest starring as Bart's trainer. Brooks is my favorite Simpsons guest star because every character he plays makes me laugh, and this is my favorite character he plays. Yep, I like this character better than Russ Cargill and Hank Scorpio. Anyway, this is just another great episode that really proves the newer ones aren't as bad as many claim they are. Itchy and Scratchy and Marge from Season 2. Marge watches Itchy and Scratchy with Bart and Lisa, and she is appalled by the violent content of the cartoon, so she complains to Roger Meyer's studio, and Itchy and Scratchy is turned into a kid-friendly program, which doesn't go well with Bart and Lisa. I love this one because I want to be an animator when I grow up, and I might deal with soccer moms when I make cartoons. Plus, I love Itchy and Scratchy, and I never get tired of episodes based around them. And this is one of the few where Marge showed that even though she's a caring parent, she knows when her protection goes too far. A lot from Marge. Well, except for when she posed for Playboy. That was just wrong. Bottom line, another great episode. Number 7. Boy Scouts in the Hood from Season 5. Bart and Milhouse drink a squishy with a large amount of sugar in it, and they go into a weird sugar trip. In the middle of it, Bart joins the junior campers, and he is forced to take Homer out on a canoeing trip. However, Homer and Bart are put with Ned Flanders and his kids, and they get lost out at sea. I love this one because I was a former scout, and I hate every minute of being a Boy Scout. So, I share Bart's thoughts on all the stuff that he has to go through. Not to mention, Homer is hilarious when he tries to help the situation when they're lost at sea. It's a perfect reason not to join Scouts. Number 6. I Married Marge from Season 3. One episode I look forward to each season is the one that deals with Homer and Marge's relationship, and this one is my favorite of them all. We flash back to when Homer and Marge first had sex and Marge became pregnant with Bart. So, Homer and Marge move in together and they eventually get married. However, they go through hardships along the way. I love this one because for being a romantic episode, there's actually quite a few laughs in this one. Job of being a knife salesman. One of the highlights of The Simpsons is balancing humor and emotion, and this episode is a perfect example of that. City of New York vs. Homer Simpson from Season 9. Barney Gumble is given the difficult task of being the designated driver for the night, so when Homer and all the guys get drunk, Barney takes Homer's car and it ends up in New York City. So, Homer and his family have to go to New York City to get Homer's car back, despite Homer hating the city with a passion. If you're a fan of Homer, there's no way you can hate this episode. Almost every bad thing happens to Homer, and you can't help but to laugh and feel sorry for him at the same time. Plus, this one's rare because due to the 9/11 attacks, this episode was pulled from the airways due to Homer having to use the World Trade Center bathroom. Seriously, why does everything with the Twin Towers in them get banned? We know they used to be there, we're not idiots. Anyway, this is just another great episode that can cause anyone not to want to go to New York. Number 4. I Am Furious Yellow from Season 13. After Bart meets an animator, he's inspired to make his own cartoon show. So, he decides to make it based off Homer. Enter Angry Dad, the angriest cartoon character ever. Anyway, Angry Dad becomes a big success, and when Homer finds out about it, it's not pretty. This episode has non-stop laughs in it, and it again contains everything we love about Homer. I never get tired of seeing Homer get hurt. Also, Stan Lee guest stars, so that's the perfect excuse for any comic book fan to be satisfied. Bottom line, this episode is one of the best in the show and shows how far Homer goes when you push his buttons. Homer's Phobia from Season 8. The Simpsons meet a pawn shop owner named John who the family really likes. Homer discovers he's a homosexual and he thinks he's a bad influence on Bart, so Homer does his best to make sure his son doesn't go in that direction. I love this one because Homer again shows how great of a character he can be, even when he's being a jerk. Plus, homophobia is a very serious topic, so I love seeing The Simpsons address it in a really comedic way. Number 2. Treehouse of Horror 5 from Season 6. Had to include a Treehouse of Horror on this list. I love the Treehouse of Horror series because it's one of the things that makes The Simpsons unique. Never has there been a show that has kept an annual Halloween special, and specials of my favorite holiday are always a plus for me. Anyway, the stories in this one include The Simpsons parodying The Shining, Homer traveling back in time and altering the future, and Bart and Lisa discovering that the lunch in their cafeteria is real people food. I hold this one near and dear to my heart because this is actually the first episode I saw. I remember when I was 7 and I was sitting in my dad's old van that had a TV coming out of the ceiling and it was stuck on Fox, and this episode was airing, and I watched the whole thing through. Also, I love the stories and the dark humor that the Treehouse of Horror episodes are known for, and this one is my favorite out of all the Halloween specials. And my number 1 all-time favorite Simpsons episode is Lisa the Vegetarian from Season 7. After the Simpsons family visit a park that has a petting zoo, Lisa soon changes her diet and believes that it's wrong to eat animals. However, this causes everyone around her to make fun of her, and she begins to question whether she made the right choice. This is my all-time favorite episode because Lisa is my second favorite character, and I love episodes based around her. She can be a very interesting character when she's allowed to be, and she holds up well. Even though I'm a meat eater, I have a lot of respect for vegetarians. Also, this episode made me laugh more than any other episode. Every second of this episode has me laughing harder than anything I've ever watched, and that's saying a lot. Not to mention, Paul McCartney guest starring? You know you don't take that lightly. Anyway, this is my all-time favorite episode from this show, and I can watch it over and over and over again and never get tired of it. That's how much I love it. So, there are my top 10 Simpsons episodes. I hope you enjoyed them. Filling out this list was really difficult, and I know this list is constantly going to change. The Simpsons is just one of those shows that has so many good episodes that it's really hard to pick your favorites. And with the show still continuing, I know more and more great episodes are still to come. Oh, and my thoughts on the new episodes? They're not as good as the older ones, but I still love them. They're really not as bad as people say they are. I give thanks to The Simpsons for making us laugh all these years, and I'm looking forward to where this show goes in the future. Anyway, I'm Ben, and I'm signing out. I'm gonna go get me some donuts. Donuts.